Alright guys, so sorry about the wait. Here is part 2 of me making the butterfly stained glass earrings. My part 1, I did the copper foil, wrapping on a pre-cut dichroic glass. And then I went ahead and burnished it. And I also went ahead and added the jump rings on the butterfly bindings. And I have my third hand ready to go. I have the jump ring with the open part, the cut part. Let's see if you can see that very well. There it is, the open split area. I'm going to have that flush to the copper foil. Alright, so go ahead and get this ready. Make sure this is all tightened up. My soldering iron has been warmed up already. And whenever you do this, you kind of have to look at it level-eyed. Make sure it is even. Sorry, it's taking a little bit. There we go. Alright, so have me a little basic paintbrush. Go ahead and cut this actually. Make it a little bit shorter. Because we don't need a lot of flux at all. Eventually I'll get it. There we go. Okay. Okay. There we go. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and dip this in, shake it off a little bit because it does not need a lot. Go ahead and add that on to the joint area. Alright, so right here I have a tip tinner. This does help out in regards to saving your soldering iron's tip. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that on. Alright, so here we go. Whenever you're making stained glass jewelry, it is very important that you only use lead-free solder. This is the one that I use, and I'll have a link in the description box that shows all the items used. So again, it shows that it is lead-free. Okay, so this is a soldering iron mat. Alright, let's go ahead and grab just a little dot, a little dab of it. Kind of move this finding away from it so it doesn't also get soldered onto it. Alright, sounds beautiful. Perfect. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of flip it around. Gotta flux it again, just a little bit. There we are. And I'm going to do the same thing to the back. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and solder the sides as well. So this is my first live I've ever done, and that is why I ended up having to do it as two-part series because I forgot my little paintbrush for the flux. But it's okay. It's actually kind of fun, even though it's still kind of new. My channel is pretty new, but think it's really fun trying to learn new things and sharing with the world all the different cool things we can create. Putting a little bit more flux on here and just making it extra pretty. All right, so I have all that done. So now I'm going to go ahead and put on the earring hook. Do some final touches to it in a little bit. All right, so what I do, just find it so much easier to make sure I'm having it face the correct way, is I go ahead and I open it up. So make sure that it's pointing the exact way that I'm wanting it to point. So let's see. All right, so I have that jump ring. And I'm just gonna add this onto it, like so. Go ahead and close the jump ring. Sorry, I lost my plier. There it is. And get this closed, kind of wiggle it back and forth, make sure it's even. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm kind of creating another one of these. And I ended up putting the texture side of the dichroic facing up. So I'm just going to double check myself to make sure everything looks good. Let's see. It looks like I did that kind of, you notice on this one, I have it, the jump ring going vertical. I should have double checked that. And on this one, it's going horizontal. So whenever you're looking at it, it's not going to be in perfect alignment. So all you got to do in that case, which is good to know, so let me go ahead and put this back on, is you just heat it off like that, and then you add it on correctly by just adding it on the opposite way. So it's an easy fix. Just helps out to find out you did it beforehand. Sometimes it's good to do videos like this instead of doing how I normally do the videos, which is sped up, just so that you can actually see. It does take time sometimes to make sure it's all leveled. So real time. So what I do is I go ahead and kind of level it out, kind of put my finger, make sure that it's like level. And I also go off to the side and I double check, make sure it looks good on that way as well. All right, so it looks good. Go ahead, put some more flux. Add the little dab. Again, lead-free solder. Really do enjoy making stained glass. Again, I do have a full video on this already uploaded on my YouTube channel. I'm just remaking a new one because I want to keep the ones that I already have for myself and make a new one for my Etsy sale that I just did. So I figured I'd go ahead and take you along with me. Super nice. All right. Adding a little bit more. It doesn't take very long at all. With the lead-free solder, it doesn't take much for it to heat. I think I had mine right above 360. between 360 and 410 on this. And it's actually Celsius, not Fahrenheit. I just recently found that out. Yeah, I was using it as Fahrenheit, so I was wondering why it was kind of not working that well. But this is the one that I use. It was highly recommended. So, alright, so let's go ahead and start on with the jumping. And be careful whenever you're dealing with this. It is hot. So I usually use some tweezers to help rotate. Just make sure it dangles good. Alright, so it looks perfect. Alright, so see, I did it the wrong side. And that's why it's good to fill it once it cools off. Again, I want the dichroic side facing forward. So, got that. Alright, and again, jump ring, have it open, so make sure that's facing the correct way. Alright, so this is the hook facing the correct way, so it's going to be horizontal. Alright, so go ahead and again, I'm going to also put this to where the open part of the jump ring, the open part of the jump ring is facing flush to the glass and the soldered area. Just making sure before I solder that area, make sure it is flushed really well to the glass. Alright, so making sure it is leveled, eyesight level, and centered. Okay. Alright, so now it's time for some more flux. Some more solder. Just dab it on. Perfect. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Whenever you're doing that, also make sure this doesn't touch, because if you do, it will like melt together and then it's a big mess, and then you have to start over with that part. So again, make sure that's away. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Add a little bit of flux, some more lead-free solder. Do the opposite side. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is make sure it looks pretty, and I'm going to clean up the edges. I do that using, I usually use my tweezers, but I also recently invested in some gloves that's heat resistant. But today I'm just going to stick with what I'm used to and just do this long tweezers. If you do short tweezers, it's still going to get hot, so I use the long tweezers. Alright, so again, just the ones that haven't been soldered yet. I'm just double checking, making sure it's flush. Alright, I'm going to close this now. Make it easier to work with. Alright, just add a little bit more flux. And some people are sensitive to the flux. You can also use gloves, like nylon gloves, or again, the heat resistant gloves will probably be better, Me personally, I probably wouldn't want to wear nylon gloves whenever you're dealing with solder, because if the solder actually lands on one of those gloves, it would actually really hurt. But I have seen people use nylon gloves, but I personally would probably prefer the heat-resistant gloves personally, but it's whatever your preference is. Just be careful because it is dealing with lava. Not just kidding, it's solder. It's pretty hot. So what I'm doing, I'm just going through, recovering the area. Just making sure it looks pretty even. No, not globby. Making sure it's kind of uniformed. Literally just takes seconds. Just glide it over really quick. Again, this is my first time ever doing a live, so I'm interested in seeing how lives will turn out in the future. I have a lot of short content already on my YouTube channel, so I decided maybe this would be a good way to do long-term content and actually show you how long it really does take for certain projects. And again, I already have a fast version of this already uploaded on my YouTube channel, Ashley's Blissful Creations. Whenever it comes to soldering, sometimes it takes a while to make sure it looks perfect, sometimes it doesn't. But spending a little bit extra time to make sure it looks good, there's nothing wrong with that. And it makes it look like you appreciate what you do. It is really fun making crafts. Glass jewelry has been one of my favorites so far. I'm excited. I've been practicing learning how to draw so that eventually I can start painting onto stained glass, which eventually I'll have to invest in a kiln. I already have a microwave kiln, but you'll think you really need a normal kiln. Alright, so there you have it. There's one of them, and I'll go ahead and do the other one. And again, I do have a shorter version of this already uploaded on my YouTube channel, Ashley's Blissful Creations. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.